Okay, Charles. Pick it up. Hello and good evening, everyone, and welcome to The Truth Behind the Truth. Happy Tuesday, y'all. Happy Tuesday. Today is Tuesday. All right, welcome aboard. Trust that everyone is having an awesome and fantastic day today. I know we are. We just kind of like all over the place out here in LA. More than we desire to be, I tell you. But it's all good. I think it's moving toward another level of greatness. That's all you can say, you know?
Yes.
That it is. But we do want to thank you guys for taking the time out. Those of you who have been very faithful. I do want to thank our YouTube family that is growing. So we are growing on YouTube. The word is getting out there. I mean, we struggle sometimes as to wondering why things are the way that they are, you know? But it is what it is. You know, when you have, and I like how you say, when you have a message that people don't want to hear, they don't want to hear. They don't know how to find you. But you talk about the bullshit that's out there, you know. you get all the ratings for it. But anyway, let me do the particulars real quick because I know you're ready to dig in. I know I'm ready. I know Charles is ready to dig in. So I want to thank you guys for all your participation. For number one thing is we want you to like, and share. Share the like and share. Just hit that like button down at the bottom, whatever platform that you are looking at us on. Please share and like and subscribe to us so that you can get the notification. We are still working on that notification. I don't know what you got, summons or whatever it is, that you'll get a text message when we go live, you know, and on all platforms we can put it that way, because when Dylan starts going back on his DTW reactions, you'll be able to be notified when he's putting that together and put that out there too. And as Charles starts his platform again, you'll be notified of that. And of course, they've been on me about doing mine, so I'm gonna get around to it. It's going to be back. I promise y'all that, not you all, but everybody else. A year ago, no, it was over a year ago, wasn't it? Wow, time be flying. Anyway, I just had to get my thoughts together. But anyway, so support of financially, we are on Venmo and we are on Cash App, or you could choose for another way to sending an email to us at TTBTT and at gmail.com, excuse me, and indicating what that is for. And and if you want to be in touch with us, that is the email address to get in touch with us as well. One last thing, and I'm gonna shut up about all this type of stuff, is that maybe tonight, if you'd like to send a text message, not a call tonight, because it's a little bit difficult to do that. Send a text message to the number on the screen. Okay, that's another way you can get your questions in or your comment in live. And pretty soon in the future, I can't tell y'all when, we're gonna give you an opportunity to get a link, and we will bring you up on the show live. Okay, so we're working on that as well. We want to be very communicative in what we're doing with you guys. All right, now that the particulars out of the way, oh my God! All right, I'm gonna let Dylan start off with it tonight.
Well, let's see, Charles, how you doing?
Hey, I'm hanging in there.
How's the weather out there in Atlanta?
Not bad. It's been pretty warm, but it's supposed to rain in there 2 days. Thunderstorms.
I hear that. You sound like you're under the weather, though. You okay? You good?
No, I'm actually just a little tired. I'm still trying to work my project and move in. I still got all this junk to put up and throw away. And
yeah, life. I know, right?
Yeah.
Life, my goodness gracious. I tell you, it's always something. Yeah, let's get into it. Yeah. How does everybody feel about the funeral / clan meeting Sunday?
Oh, you know, I can't.
Because you know how I felt? No ways tired. I looked at it like this, you know, it's a sad thing to mix God and hate.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sad thing to call what you would call a Christian event and have hate in the midst of it. You know, The lady said she forgave the man that killed her husband, but then you got a president that came up there and said, well, you know, I don't forgive my enemies.
And projects that everywhere you go.
But it's
a Christian event, though. But go ahead.
But I have to admit, he told the truth.
Well,
yeah.
You know what? That right there, I can commend him on saying that because I think the lie was when she said she forgave. I don't think she forgave. I don't think she. To be honest with you, that is the quote unquote Christian playbook that covers up the sincerity and the authenticity of humanity right there. Because she could have came out and told the truth.
Well,
and that in itself was she did not forgive, nor did she allow some of his people to come and talk at the funeral. Candace Owens, why did she not even allow her on the list to talk? I'm still trying to figure that out.
She wasn't light enough. You know that. She wasn't light enough. That was a clean rally.
Hey, it was they had black folks there. Well, I would show pictures though, but we can't do that. But there were some black people there, and they supported in that Klan meeting. But I mean, hey, what did y'all think? Did you hear Stephen Miller's speech? I mean, he said a lot.
Well, I've been listening to all this propaganda for the last 10, 15 years. And I didn't have to look at Charlie Kirk's funeral in order to hear all that crap again, because that's all it is.
It is.
And the sad part about all that is that's not even what Charlie Kirk stood for. They're isolating, censoring people's speech when that was what he was fighting against. Even though I didn't agree with everything he said or how he went about it, that was the basis of his whole argument. Everyone can say what they want to say, no matter how you feel about it. But if you say something about Charlie Kirk, now we're gonna throw you in jail. We're gonna do something to you. We're gonna get you out of work. We're gonna do all kinds of stuff.
Nobody went hard in the paint for George Floyd. I don't care what anybody said. They didn't go hard in the paint for Trayvon Martin like that.
Nope.
They didn't go hard for anybody like that. But see, that is the narrative. Well, y'all did it to us. Why can't we do it to y'all? Y'all doxed us. Why can't we dox y'all? But you know what's also crazy about this situation is, like you said, Charles, they have retold the truth and sanitized this man's legacy. I was thinking about the fact that I saw on my algorithm somebody speak about the fact that this has happened before, and it has happened plenty of times in our history, where our history has been cleaned up and sanitized. The fact that the Confederacy, the South, lost the Civil War. Yeah. They lost. And with that came the defeat and the change. But the South, after the fact, they found a way to retell the story of the situation that happened with the Civil War, knowing that we know damn well that war was based on slavery. Because what was the South way of life? The South needed slavery to keep the economy going within their realm of the country, because there was no industry happening in the South as much. The industry was up north. What kept the South going was slavery. And there was more slaves than there were white people within the population of the South. So they found a way to whitewash that whole entire narrative and say, you know what? It wasn't based on slavery. It was based on culture, and it was based on heritage, and it was based on what we believe was our way of life. And they found a way to build monuments. You have it out there in Stone Mountain. They built parks around it. They built museums around this narrative, and that what kept this mess going for many years. This has been going on for a long time, and now they're using this guy's death as a way to sanitize and to try to clean up the mess. Because every time you mention about racism with him, it was taken out of context. Mm-hmm. And they're using black voices to say this to black people, which gets me. They're getting black people to say, well, y'all are taking this out of context because I was a friend of Charlie Kirk. Tokens don't matter. When you are a token out of a group of white, that does not matter. I know Bull Connor had black friends, and that didn't stop him from putting dogs and water hoses on children. I don't get it. I don't understand. Y'all can take it, but I just don't understand that.
Well, no, I honestly don't either. And the thing that, we don't have to keep digging too deep into his situation. I think the major thing is the same way that we've noticed with Trump. is that because of what you say and because of what you do, now there are people that are coming out from under their mask that they used to carry or wear.
Yeah.
So we know now what we to be prepared for, or at least try to get prepared for. You can't be prepared for too much at the end of the day. But with all of that man said, and all of those other type of things, which were very offensive, I think that the country probably should have taken a different stand. I don't think that people should have, supported the transitioning moment of him. I really don't, because of the rhetoric that he put out there. But it did, and there's not much we could do about that. It did, but it did show a small arena of all majority of one color of people.
15,000.
Well,
15,000.
Yeah. Well, it's given the arena. It's still not a Beyonce concert, but and
it was more like a WWE wrestling event. I mean, everybody came out to fireworks.
Okay.
Everybody came out to fireworks.
I mean,
Charles, do you agree?
I like that.
Even the president
did. Yeah, it was. It probably, that's a good way to look at it.
All the characters showed up.
Absolutely, all the characters, and which one could Uber body slam each one over the stage. At the end of the day. But you're right. I would kind of, take the sting out of the event. But at the end of the day, it still appeared to be a red and white Klan rally. It just did, because any distance picture of that arena, it looked completely of one color, and it looked completely. All you saw was red and white.
It wasn't diverse.
And it was not diverse. I mean, now you talking about a sprinkle? No, it wasn't even a sprinkle. It was like. That was all it was in there. All right. So it wasn't even a sprinkle. It wasn't enough to even call a sprinkle in it. So the other side of this man is going on. Okay. And yet there are those that are out in existence that are going to continue to carry that type of, berating message out there. But I think what we've got to do is as Americans, we've got to find a way to get past this shit. At the end of the day, I mean, we're going to have people that are going to be doing, this type of rally behaviors, and like I said, I didn't know this man was that much recognized in society. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I just didn't recognize, because I didn't pay attention to. And y'all know me. If it ain't coming down the pipe with a little bit of spirituality in it and the deep side of politicism, I probably am not going to hear it that much. At the end of the day, because I'm going to be focusing on building people up instead of tearing people down. At the end of the day, in those two areas, religion and politics tear people down. It divides, it separates. And we're going to talk about that a little bit, into the course of the night. So the other person that was a part of this mess, that has been going on, and it's going to transition into what it is, this guy. Really. To my opinion, this man, he looks like probably one of the dragons that are out there, but I can't call him that allegedly. I have to say allegedly because I don't want to get accused of saying something on the airway, calling somebody something that I shouldn't be calling them, like somebody else called black women what they did, in an open environment, taped environment. But, I don't want to necessarily say that. I know you have something to say about this clown. I can call him a clown. So,
oh, no. I mean, to be honest with you, he is Trump's lapdog.
Right.
He is the one that's supposed to be attacking all types of media, because he is part of the FCC. His name is Brendan Carr.
Right.
But he's been doing his rounds on, mostly MAGA podcasts, saying that he's going to go after people who speak ill of the president, who is not, and who is of the Antifa. See, this is what gets me about these people. You have so much to say about Marxism, socialism, communism, but you have nothing to say about fascism. I don't get it.
They don't know what it is.
They don't know it. They don't know nothing about anything.
They don't know what it is. Yeah,
they don't know absolutely nothing about anything. But see, what gets me is the fact that we studied World War II.
Right.
We fought against the Nazis.
Right.
And you're telling me that, because Trump even said to himself that he's going to make every progressive organization a terrorist group. Yeah. And Antifa is the top number one organization besides some other progressives that he wants to go after. So when you say you're going against anti-fascists, do you mean that you're telling me that you're neo-Nazism? You believe in neo-Nazism?
No.
Because
he's actually saying he's chasing ghosts, because there's no such thing as Natifa or whatever they call it.
Antifa.
It doesn't even exist. It's a figment of their imagination, because they feel like black people have got a covert group like they do with the Klan and the Christian nationalists and all those, and that we're doing the same thing they're doing, but we're not. We basically been riding this out. Everybody since the I guess you call it the march on Trump, everybody's relaxed, because one, we know he's trying to get a civil war. He's itching at that so bad. That's why he's trying to take over cities and things, and all the blue cities. But when you look at how he structured everything, they are basically telling us they want to go back to the 1930s and 40s, where black folks didn't have no civil rights. We didn't have opportunities or any resources to do better than we're doing. So that's why Charlie Kirk even said he didn't like the civil rights movement. He thought Martin Luther King was trash. So, I mean, where's the harmony at?
But you took it out of context, Charles. That's not what he really meant.
Silly me.
That's basically, he didn't mean that. Yeah. I mean, he didn't mean to say that. He didn't really want to say it that way. You know, he was trying to explain his point. So we only got a small clip of him saying what he really felt, but it wasn't the whole thing. That's the type of stuff that kills me. But see, they're using black voices because they can't get to us through white voices, because we can see white people telling us this, but you got to get the message through to them through black voices. So what they do, they take these black podcasters, they get a rich donor. All it takes is one rich donor. The same with Charlie Kirk. He had got a rich donor, and that's why he was able to spread his platform and make a lot of money from this. It takes a donor to get this ignorance out to the working class people, especially
they call them rebel risers,
basically showing chaos and division. So you got black people telling black folks, "Oh, yeah, he wasn't a racist." I actually worked for Charlie Kirk. I knew Charlie Kirk. I was friends with Charlie Kirk. He couldn't have been racist. It makes you sit back and wonder do you think some of us was born? Now, I know I might have been born at night, but not last night. You can fool a lot of us who were born at night and last night, but not a whole lot of us. And the saddest thing about it is some of us are living in an oblivion of wanting to believe that this man could have been all this bad because he was using his First Amendment right. But all First Amendment rights, all free speech, it ain't great speech. It's not good speech. But hey,
they don't want to accept that.
But listen,
because, you all know Charles, was I cutting you off? I'm sorry.
No, I didn't say nothing.
So, you all know my opinion on freedom of speech. I think that, and I agree, it should be defended, and all things are above and that. However, there is a point in it that freedom of speech does not employ us to get into a person's being. In other words, freedom of speech is not to say, well, I think that I'm going to use this word. Charles is a handsome guy because he wears glasses. You know what I'm saying? That's not classified as, but we use that as a derogatory moment into freedom of speech. Okay, we think that because of freedom, we can say anything derogatory about a person. And that's not what it was there for. What we're seeing now is that people are fighting for what it is for, because it wasn't created for that purpose. It was created so that the FCC, the court systems, all these business areas could not shut a person down from communication. All right. But we have taken that and made it because we want to use profane language in a song. We say that falls in the category of freedom of speech. As the hip hop and rap artists, they say anything they want to say on digital, and it's come under the classification of freedom of speech. My personal perception, I don't consider that classified. I think that's declassing yourself as an individual, and I don't think it should be classified as freedom of speech. I think it's disrespectful to call women out of who they are, and likewise on the same category. Now, some people may argue that and say, well, are you regulating freedom of speech? Well, or are you censoring freedom of speech? Kind of, sort of what I call him my friend, but what Jimmy Kimmel went through. Okay. And what Jimmy Kimmel went through was not even in invoking anything that would be classified as that.
It wasn't even a
You know,
joke that much.
That really it wasn't, you know. And as much as Jimmy Kimball, I'm about to say Jimmy Kimball roasts the political platform, this was, I think, just a hidden thing that went against him, that because Trump just got to the point where he found a place to, you know, to get at Jimmy for, you know. And anyway, it's just, I just don't think that, I think that we're opening up a Pandora's box that it's going to be hard to pull back on.
But it really shows that he's weak, he's thin-skinned.
Who?
Trump.
Trump.
Trump
Okay.
is thin-skinned to the point that he cannot take, he doesn't like his critics,
right?
And he cannot take people criticizing his every move. My thing is this, you know, what kills me about this situation, because I remember when Obama was president, and every time we watched the news, it was always something negative at every whim. Mm-hmm. I recall CNN and Fox was a given, but MSNBC had its moments. So it was like they took daggers at everything that Obama was doing, and Obama didn't do anything or say anything.
No.
He
wore a gray suit. Beige. I'm sorry, beige suit.
Yeah, wore a beige suit. Okay, that was, oh my God, that was like.
And then don't talk about Michelle Obama's arms. You know, man. She built like a man, and she looks like one. And they've been calling her that since.
Right.
She had been out of the White House, and they still calling her a man, and she don't say nothing. She lives a life.
Right.
And that in itself tells you the character and the integrity of a human being. Because these people could do and say and get their lawyers to go after these people, but they don't say nothing. They don't do nothing.
Right.
And that what makes me kind of sit back and say, now this man calls himself an alpha. It's always the alphas who seems to be the ones that are so thin-skinned to a woman calling them out, to a child calling them out, and then they want to call you a beta when you call them out. Right. It's always these alpha men, and I'm not trying to throw off at men who want to consider themselves ultra masculine, but you have to give it up to the manosphere. They look at Trump as the most masculine president that we have had in a long time. They have gone as far to say if a man crosses his legs, he's got to be a femme gay. He's got to be gay. He cannot cross the way Trump sits with his legs, spread eagles, and then he's got to. That's what a man does. But this man is so thin-skinned to the point that he wants to go off on any and everybody who says something. That is not what men do, unless I might.
Well, I mean, my question is that how did we get here with this definition of what men should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing?
Oh, yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean? Where did we develop this idiotic thought pattern? You know, I mean, at the end of the day, who creates this shit? You know, and it really it's gotten to the point that as a man, my man doesn't know who he is anymore because you got all of these labels. Okay, at the end of the day, you know, if he don't, excuse me, no, I ain't gonna say excuse me. If you get on social media and say you don't wash your ass, okay, and you smell, you're a man. Okay, we've had there's talk about celebrities out there that say that they only wear black underwear, so therefore the streak from their ass won't be shown in the underwear. That's nasty as hell. Okay, at the end of the day, and I don't want to get into all of the other things that go along with that. You know, I mean, at the end of the day on this show. But anyway, so where is this unnecessary need for this choice of this hyper masculinity? I don't understand it.
Insecurity.
Well, I know that, but I'm not throwing to try to answer out there. I want them to figure out the answer. You know, and it's really it's so unnecessary. You know, and women, I don't know why you guys put up with it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, women on every spectrum, Caucasian sisters as well as the black sisters. Why do y'all put up with this? Why do you allow this in your home? Why do you allow a man to do these things to you?
Different strokes for different folks. That's all I look at.
Well, but we're pacifying in excuses. I'm sorry. I'm not one about keep giving excuses about what these things are. Somebody needs to take a stand. Women, take a stand in your household. Okay? Take in your household.
They've been doing that.
Well, I'm not saying they're not. Okay, but I'm not saying that. This is just a reinsurgence of that opportunity. But they have, okay, but some of them not necessarily to the point. You know, I mean, I could get into stories of women groups I have had spoken to, and then how they view themselves, and then unfortunately, the women of our society still think of themselves as the less than, even though you got a lot of groups out there that say something else other than that.
Well, the president told them to not take Tylenol because they can take.
Here you go. That's what I'm saying. But and I'm sure that there's going to be an allegiance of women that certainly at this point are standing against those things. And then the other fools set up and said, well, you should be able to, basically paraphrase, you should be able to take the pain. You're a woman. What? Who says this shit?
He was once one.
Well,
he was once a woman. Because whoever who said that, he might have been a woman in his past life.
Oh, okay.
Charles, do you agree?
Hey, everybody's on the deal these days, so you never know.
I know, right?
You know what? It's not and nobody has to be on anything. I just feel like at the end of the day, life is life. You live your life the way you.
Yep, be you.
The way you would want to live your life. My thing is this: don't throw off on people if you are living one side. I mean, you don't need to be throwing off on anybody if you doing dirt in your own backyard.
Right, it's true.
You got to clean up around your front door first before you start trying to tell somebody how to clean up around theirs. And my thing is, those who talk loud and say these things, there is an insecurity there, and there is something there that they are trying to. It's like them throwing off the scent. I need to throw off the scent of my authenticity.
What is that, Charles?
Epstein.
Basically, I gotta throw off the scent because I don't want nobody to know the truth about who I am. So I got to throw off on other people who make me feel like I need to be, at least make me feel like at the end of the day, it's bringing up something that I'm trying to hide. So you have to think about it. There are people who are afraid to live in their truth.
Right.
And they don't want nobody to know who they are and what they are. So they do these things, they say these things, they abuse people to throw off the scent of who they are. And it's so sad. But that is the truth.com right there. Mm-hmm. And you have to understand that people, it's hard to live in your authenticity when you're living for other people.
Right.
And that is the truth behind the truth. You ain't got to live for nobody else. Nobody's paying your bills and nobody's putting food on your table. I was happy to hear, and this is just being random. Freddie from A Different World.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, there's a show where the two girls from A Living Single, they got their own show podcast right now. And she said something that was kind of it just struck me. She said, you know what? When you're young and you're feeling like you got everything together, you don't live in your truth. You're shy about a whole lot of stuff. It's until you get up in age and things start to fall apart, you get to a point where you just really don't give a damn anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's when everything starts to change. And I think that is to be honest with you, that is the truth. It's like when we're at our perfect state, we're living for other people. But when we get up in age and feel like, I got so much I ain't got to really do too much, that's when the truth starts coming out. Mm-hmm. And that is the truth. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is the truth.
Well, yeah, no, I completely agree with you.
Sorry for the word salad, but I mean, to be honest with you, I think that when you stop living for other people, and that's when you will be living in your true authenticity, because that's where it stops.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, in true that, I mean, it does. People are so much. This will transition into our next point here. People are yet still looking in their own way for somebody to save them from their own ideas.
Yeah.
Save them from their own ideas, save them from the fact of what they have created for their own life. And in it, we search so many different places for those understandings, and typically in two ways: in relationships with people, and then hopefully a relationship with our Creator or God or whatever a person wants to call that individual. However, that has been becoming a bamboozled opportunity, typically in America, but I can't say all over the world, but here in America, because people are at the point that they don't know what to believe anymore. You know what I mean? They really don't know what to believe anymore. They don't know what to believe in, because the representation of what we thought that word Christianity meant has just been shown in a gathering of people that don't love one another, don't love anybody outside of themselves or like anybody outside of themselves.
There's a Taliban. They created the Christian Taliban right here in these United States of America.
Exactly.
You got, and it's so funny. my cousin, I'm not going to name any names, but he put on his algorithm up on his wall paper, whatever you want to call it. He said he doesn't call himself a Christian anymore.
Absolutely.
He now calls himself a follower of Jesus Christ.
Okay.
And I have to admit, I think the word Christian has been so tainted. It has been tainted and it has been taken over by evangelicals who do nothing but sprout up white nationalism, colonialism. It's all based on using the word Jesus to cover up the hate that they have within themselves, the ignorance that they have within themselves. You have to remind yourself, these same people were bombing black churches. And we just celebrated not too long ago. We took, we honored the 4 girls that died in 1963 at their church on a Sunday. But those men who bombed that church were of the KKK. They considered themselves the Cahaba Boys, but they were of a white Christian nationalistic group. They believed in God, but they believed that their God was white and believed that their God was more superior than the God that we serve or anybody serve.
Absolutely.
So you have to take that into context, that there are people who they would say, well, I'm a Christian, but you got to understand that there are Christians who believe in 2 different types of God.
Right. And that alone is worth stepping back from. You know what I'm saying? And really realizing what it is, for that these people are doing. We got a couple of clips here that, kind of, references back to what we're talking about. This gentleman is kind of letting you know that, if religion is your motive for life, you need to wake up.
This will probably get me canceled, but it's the truth. So here we go. All religions are man-made. God isn't. God isn't Christian, Muslim, Catholic, or Buddhist. God is bigger than your label. If your God tells you to divide, you're not talking to God. If faith makes you feel superior, you're only worshiping yourself. If your God hates who you hate, you created him. If your religion needs an enemy, that's not worship. That's politics. Your church isn't the only road to God. It never was. Because religion didn't create God. But man, it sure created a whole lot of wars. If your religion makes you feel chosen, guess what? You already lost. If you think God only speaks your language, you're not listening. God existed way before your religion did. And he's going to be here way after it disappears. All this to say, religion divides. Love unites. So which side are you on? I choose spirituality over religion and over fake worship and man-made religions. Those are politics. They're used to divide, create wars. If you can look at somebody else and feel superior based on your beliefs, you're not tapped in. So choose love. Choose unity. Remember, the goal is to leave everybody you come across better than you found them. And it starts with you.
Well, there you go, Charles. You got the first. Go ahead.
You kind of, yeah. Oh, go ahead, Charles. You had a point.
Oh no, I just said, yep. If we take a beat, step back, think about what we're about to say before we say it. A lot of times we would come to the understand that we can say it differently.
Yeah.
We don't speak our first mind all the time. It's not it's not a requirement. But if we take the time to understand that if you show respect, you'll get respect.
Just do right.
That's
what Maya Angelou said. Just do right. What is wrong with just respecting people at where they at? Where they are, you need to understand that I don't care what religion you serve or what political affiliation you support. Respecting people, I feel like, is a spiritual protection over one's life.
Good point. Say that again.
I believe respecting people it will bring you spiritual protection. And that is the saddest thing about what society has come to believe, is that you've got to believe in a God and you got to believe that there's only one God, and to have this. No, you need to understand that you're here to love thy neighbor. and not to promote what is in your heart. You need to just be walking the walk. And that is my issue with Christians, is that they talk about scripture all day, but then go around the corner doing whatever. And you're seeing this. Look at, and I keep saying this about bishops and pastors or whoever who's singing gospel music, Christian music. If they were authentic in the way they lead their life by saying, you know what, I believe in God, but I have situations too that I'm trying to get over. Transparency will give you that, because you are relating to those who might need the help and the mentorship to say, you know what, this person is going through an alcoholism, drug issues, I have a sex addiction. That is the human experience. And there is nothing wrong with saying those things and believing in what you believe. But there's this thing called, I must put up a curtain so people will look at me as clean. And that is not that will get you into a whole lot of trouble with society, because people will look at you and say, well, you see, I told you he or she wasn't all that great.
Well, transparency and honesty, I think, is one of the things that we in society or in our human experience that we're just taking a backseat. Transparency and honesty, and we feel like that we can't, because either we're judged by so many things. We're walking to the room, we're judged. We wake up, we're judged. We look in the mirror, we start judging ourselves. And it's like judgment is the leading ruler of how we think. Even down to the point, even in the spiritual arena, because, when you hear certain Christians, I know y'all, why are y'all on Christians? Like, because we ain't the ones that's on them. You check out your social media, you check out everything that's floating around there. It is, and I won't say under attack, it is about an identifying and awakening to a group of people that has done so much harm to humanity. Now it's being identified as something that people that don't want to be bothered with.
Always put their opinions in other people's situations. Okay.
So what we have here is not admitting to our own faults as a believer in something. Okay. And we have put this label over it. And I know you devout people say, why is he going against it? Because somebody has to stand up and tell y'all doing it the wrong way. You're forgetting the whole complete message of love that we've been put here for, that you have said that we were saved for. So if God so loved the world and that he gave, then why can't you love the world just the same way? If you're supposed to be a representation of that, all right? But you don't want to, exactly. You don't want to, because it requires you to stop judging someone based on what you think they're about. Okay, so let me. I don't want to get too deep. I'm about to get myself going over.
Questioning what men say about God makes men a fool. Then I guess Jesus was a fool too, because he questioned the Pharisees who claim to speak for God while weaponizing scripture for control. I've learned that a lot of you all mistake spiritual curiosity for rebellion, and that's exactly how this fear-based system keeps a lot of you quiet. And what I'm starting to recognize is a lot of these people will say, oh yeah, I follow Jesus, but they really just followed the system that claimed him, making them less of disciples and more of religious system-based prostitutes. But let me give you perspective. There's a certain thought process of the person who believes the serpent in the Garden of Eden was Satan, and not because the text in Genesis says so. Because they've been taught to view the story through optics of later interpretation, not original context. The disadvantage of that is that lens is usually tinted with revelation and centuries of theological scaffolding, equating the serpent with evil incarnate. And since in the original Hebrew, the serpent wasn't given a proper name, divine title, or a supernatural origin, it further proves the people who insist the serpent was Satan are the same ones who can't imagine a world where knowledge, temptation, and disobedience aren't prescripted by cosmic warfare. Which is why you need a villain to feel morally grounded, because if you take Satan out of the consciousness of that story, you're left with the system's God punishing the awakening.
I want to add this. I want to add this too. What he said is on point, because you know what? The fact that they used Noah's sons, Ham, Shem, and who else? Ham and Shem. And they said that black people were cursed because of the color, the darker skin color of Ham, which we know is BS at the end of the day.
Right.
But we were of a cursed people, and they used that interpretation to generalize and to downgrade a whole community of people and say this was the reason why they should be of any form of second class anything.
Right.
And that is the truth. That is the truth. What he was just saying right there, we as Black folks have had to deal with for many, many, many years when it boils down to Christianity. It came down to the point that we didn't even love ourselves.
Right.
There's colorism.
We still don't.
We still don't love There's
themselves,
colorism still in the community where you can't be a darker shade like me.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be of a lighter shade of a Vanessa Williams to get in to be what you would call successful in this thing called white society. Because people, at least white Christians, during the years of slavery and during the years of segregation, that said the reason why Black folks are the way they are because they are cursed, because God cursed them with that dark skin, because Ham saw Noah drunk in the tent naked, and he did not cover Noah up. So we were the villains in this story. And that's so sad that we don't even understand what that book has done to a society and what it had did to a whole community of people. Lynchings.
The list goes on.
The list goes on.
The list goes on. Charles, you want to make a point right there before we go?
Yeah.
Oh no. A lot of this stuff is, how you say, repetitive. It's the same. I hate to say this way, but the same shit on a different day.
Right. I completely agree. It's just so unfortunate that that our faith and how we see ourselves is so challenged now, to the degree of, like I said earlier when we started out this portion of this segment, is that because of certain people's idea of their faith, they gather together in a stadium and then they're all of the same color in that particular stadium. Okay,
and they're all on Grindr.
With that, that's a whole nother. It's a whole other conversation.
I mean, Grindr hit
that's
big that day. They did it really.
That's a whole other conversation. All right. However, but my point is about bringing the Charlie issue and this representation. But these people are a representation of what this gentleman was talking about a minute ago. They are the ones. They're the ones you just talked about. They're the ones that want to look at Black people as a separate entity of them. Why would Charlie Cook get out here and make the indication about how Black men and Black women were? Because he felt his religion taught him that he was superior over that. In the same way that the religion that we have inspired to be up under Black people has taught you in most cases to be subservient. Okay, to not understand that you were the greatest gift that God ever created for this planet. That you are God, little g, let me be clear, God's on this planet. All right. But you all don't want to believe that because you think you're taking something from God and recognizing who you are.
Well, I just want to tell all the racists and bigots out there that I didn't get Charlie Kirk's name wrong. That was JB who said Charlie Cook. So if y'all gonna hurt somebody, you gotta hurt JB. I ain't say nothing.
I did. His name is Charlie Cook because he was cooking up a lot of shit.
So he did that on purpose. But you know what? I have to put this on the docket. The reason why you had a lot of Black people, and now I don't want to say a whole lot of Black people. You had some Black people who connected with Charlie Kirk, and they were Christians too, because of their fight against the LGBTQIA+.
And why?
And the saddest thing about that is when it takes a white racist man to get you in a group, in a setting, in a room of agreement, when it boils down to hating the people that you might live next door to or might be in your family. Now, he can talk dirty about your community all day, every day, but I agree with the fact that he hated gay people and trans. That bothers me because that lets me know that there is no allegiance. There's no allegiance. And that right there is a scary thing within our community, because when it takes at least that to grab you and to reel you in, you have to think about stuff like this, because it makes you want to say, well, I cannot trust, especially within the Black, gay, LGBT, because you got situations happening within our community where the church did such damage to our psyche that we cannot even live whole lives. we cannot even be in, I would say, healthy relationships with our family as well as our lovers, because there is a religious proponent that is telling you what you're doing is wrong, even though it's man-made. It's saying, well, your life is wrong, your lifestyle is wrong. So you can't be happy and you can't be free, because this is what it boils down to.
So it goes back to the point that started out this segment for us, is that it's become a life of judgment.
Basically,
okay, and you judge everything that somebody else does, okay, without necessarily judging yourself. And that is not scriptural. That is not scriptural. I don't have time to get into it right now. That's not scriptural, guys. All right.
But it's a worldview that humanity wants to believe.
But it's about control.
Thank you.
Okay,
it's always been
if
about
I can control you to let you make you feel bad about yourself, whether you're LGBT, whether you're a woman, whether you're a woman, whether you're any of those kind of factors, if I have the opportunity to make you feel less than, then I have that level of control over you.
They do it every Sunday.
Okay, and they do it each and every Sunday. So in so many organizations, there's so many churches. So
Christians, Islamic.
It is. I mean, but unfortunately, this is the thing, like we said earlier. What religion has done to humanity. It has poisoned humanity at the end of the day. Here's another one we're going to go in. We'll talk
Authorities say the body of 21-year-old Dematravion Trey Reed was found.
Sorry, I got a little head, y'all. Sorry about that.
Right. So this was left on a certain someone's highlight reel, and this person says this is all taken out of context. Every single direct quote is taken out of context. I'll bite. What context is it okay? What context is it okay to say when blacks didn't have equal rights, they were less murderous? To tell a black child you were better off before the Civil Rights Act? To say, if I have a black pilot, I sure hope he's qualified. To tell black women, professional black women, you do not have the brain processing power for this job that you took from white people. To say that assault victims that are 10 years old should be forced to carry to term. To say that abortions, which save women's lives, are like and worse than the Holocaust. What context is that okay? Because I'm a former Christian nationalist. You could scan my whole life and I never said shit like that. But then later in the thread, you hone in on the pilot comment. He's talking about DEI and the conversations that DEI forces us to have. It's not racist at all. DEI forces you to have that conversation? That's your first thought? Let me explain why that is also inherently racist. Because pilot qualifications are the same across the board and they did not change. Every single pilot has to have the same training, the same qualifications, the same flight hours, the same certifications in order to even apply for that job. All DEI did, which by the way benefited white women more than any other group, all DEI says is you cannot reject this application or this applicant because they're a woman or because they're black or because they're brown. Every single pilot has to have the same qualifications. So if every pilot has to have the same qualifications, same with doctors, lawyers, everybody else, and you still assume that the black person is not qualified the way the white person is qualified, it's because you assume that the white person is smarter, inherently better, and inherently more qualified because they have the same qualifications. Now, I used to be a Christian nationalist, and this thought never crossed my mind because I know they have to have the same qualifications. So yes, it is inherently racist to assume by someone's race that even though they have the same qualifications as someone else, they are less qualified. I hope that clears that up for you.
Say this, you got some black people who believe in that logic too, and I can name some too. You know, there was once a black man named Isaiah T. Montgomery, and you can look him up. He was the only black person invited to the Mississippi Constitutional Convention in 1890, and he voted to take away the rights of blacks to vote. Isaiah T. Montgomery, you look him up on your own, you know. Wow. But I'm gonna also add these names. You got people like Darkchild. What's his name?
Rodney Jerkins.
Rodney Jerkins. Now, Billy D. Williams, he put out some stuff, but you know, his daughter's trying to save face. He's trying to say, well, you know, somebody hacked into his account.
Don't let the smooth taste fool you.
Nobody didn't hack into his account. And then you got some of the whinings, and you got some of these gospel
DDCCDDEEFFGG.
DJ Pearson, he's black. He believes in it. Bishop Wooden.
Oh my God.
Wooden from the Kojic, Bishop Wooden. He believes in it. These are black people who believe in that we are not qualified to be working in the white man's world and want us to be subservient to this white idea. Yeah. These are black people. I could care less about white people, but when you got black people telling you this, that right there, that's a really a punch to the gut, because I can't believe there are this many coons out here. Cooning.
It is.
Cooning for money. They're getting money out of this, and let's not be foolish about this. They're getting paid for this. Somebody is giving them millions and millions of dollars to say this to our community, to keep us in our place. Go ahead.
Charleston White is the same way. He may make a point here and there, but most times he's just out there to stir trouble and make chaos.
And Stephen A. Smith too.
Yeah, him too.
The thing about it is that it's our own congregants that are fueling this. I mean, I know what you're saying, but this next clip will kind of elaborate that on a little bit, that our own congregants are putting the fuel behind these things. Because if you're going and sitting in somebody's assembly, whatever, you're giving your tithes and offerings to it. Okay.
Yeah.
Making sure that he drives out of there in whatever typical kind of car he's doing. That's not word to be rewarded. That's not word to the fact that it illuminate your spirit to be a better person, that if you need that every week to be told that you're a better person, because you should wake up and look in the mirror and tell yourself that you're a better person anyway. But that's a whole nother conversation. Yep.
If nothing said on Sunday makes you uncomfortable, you're not in a place of transformation. You just amened yourself through another hour of spiritual sedation. And most people don't go to confront themselves. They go so they can have religious receipts just in case someone questions how they live. They want the image of faith without the inconvenience of surrender. And the truth of the matter is most people know exactly what they're walking into. They're not going to be challenged. They're going to be entertained. That's why they fall in love with the preacher's personality, borrow his words for captions, and then right on cue, the choir sings you into submission because silence might force you to think. And the whole time you don't recognize that you're being prepared to finance the performance. Because your transformation isn't needed, they want your transaction. And you slowly become complicit in your own deception. Feeling guilty if you don't post about your faith. Going out of your way to make sure people know you listen to gospel. Always announcing your relationship with God like a brand partnership. Because deep down, you don't trust your life to speak for itself. So instead of living the word, you regurgitate it. Always quoting the scripture because you don't know how to speak from your soul. Becoming fluent in biblical language, but emotionally illiterate in your own spirit. And in your words, I translate. These people come near me with their mouths and honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. Their worship is based on merely human rules that they've been taught.
And wow. No, let's just give this a wow. Yeah. Okay, because that is an absolute truth behind the truth. That's an absolute truth behind the truth moment right there.
Tax the churches. They need to be not tax exempt. But until they start doing that, then all the game will change.
Well, and I get that, but the purpose of that, what he was saying, is identifying what you're doing as the person that's spewing out this type of situation coming from that, and you're not going here to get in that place because you've been bamboozled from the moment you walk in the door. All this being concerned, we're not going to fuel you with the right information. We're going to fuel you with another way to come out of your pocket to give it another donation.
Well, that's politics too.
Well,
that goes hand in hand. You think the church, the church, political. That's like me going into a concert and knowing that the person can't sing and thinking that they can sing, but they scammed me out of my money.
Well,
but the fact is, the church and politics
are the same.
Lying to get a donation out of you.
You better say that again.
Because did the Democrats, some of them voted to honor Charlie Kirk.
Well,
see, that's something that people need to think about, and this is where I'm really on the verge of being independent. To be honest with you, I should be.
I am independent.
Go ahead, Charles. You beat us to the punch.
Absolutely.
But to be honest with you, I don't even want to be officially politically affiliated with anything that's Republican or Democrat, because what they did by some of them voting to honor, and then they call it, now this is what the Democrats call it. Well, we voted to go against political violence. That's what it was called. Political violence. We're voting against political violence. That wasn't the resolution. The resolution was to honor Charlie Kirk, and one of your own were harassed and harangued. You talking about old girl from Texas, your girl? What's her name?
Jasmine Crockett.
That man pointed her out of everybody, along with Ketanji Jackson, Michelle Obama. He talked about everybody underneath the moon, and you want to honor this man. He even talked about Simone Biles, about the fact that something that she was crazy, but saying that she had she was going through some counseling because of her being sexually assaulted. And the Democrats voted to uphold this man. See, that's the
same thing.
Huh?
They're the same. The Democrats, Republicans are the same people. Only thing is, the Democrats are more bleeding hearts, and Republicans don't give a damn.
They don't.
That's the only difference.
Well,
and they duped us into giving them donations, and that is where it gets very murky. And I'm just saying, until they start taxing these churches, the game will change.
Well,
because to be honest with you, they are exempted. The church they are a business, but they are a tax exempt business.
Yeah.
And that is the situation when you can go in and hoodwink a whole community into giving this man or this whoever woman some money because she can preach good. She got a great choir. She can get up there and say whatever she wants and get a Benz out of it.
Yes, I'm
it is what it is. Your whole entire congregation is on public transportation and living in a crazy community. While your church is the most beautiful thing in the community. Yeah. Why is that?
I've said it many times.
It is what it is.
You took a great point to transition into our next comment. I'm going to let Mr. Cory Booker tell you exactly what you just said and what he feels about the Democratic situation.
What I am tired of is when the President of the United States of America violates the Constitution, trashes our norms and traditions. And what does the Democratic Party do? Comply? Allow him? Beg for scraps? No, I demand justice. I will fight for Jersey every day, every night. This is a call, folks. The Democratic Party needs a wake-up call. I see law firms bending a knee to this president. I see businesses taking late-night talk show hosts off the air because they dare to insult a president. I see people who want mergers suddenly think that they have to pay tribute to this president. And what are the very people here elected to defend the Constitution of the United States saying, oh, well, today let's look the other way and pass some resources that won't go to Connecticut, that won't go to Illinois, that won't go to New York, that will go to the states he likes. That is complicity with an authoritarian leader who is trashing our Constitution. It's time for Democrats to have a backbone. It's time for us to fight. It's time for us to draw lines. And when it comes to the safety of my state being denied these grants, that's why I'm standing here. Don't question my integrity. Don't question my motives. I'm standing for Jersey. I am standing for my police officers. I'm standing for the Constitution, and I'm standing for what's right.
There we go.
If I was him and if I was Jasmine, if I have enough sense, I would be like what's his name? Manchin from Bloomberg from New York.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, change parties. It comes to the point that you got to stand up for something and you got to be about something, because the Democrats and these Republicans, this ain't nothing but a money game at the end of the day. And Jeffries, he's just, it's just ridiculousness. You writing letters to the president with Schumer. That's telling me you are bringing a knife to a sword fight, a butter knife to a sword fight, and it doesn't make sense why you are doing this. Y'all, it's time that it's probably time for us to come, like they say, come up off this Democratic plantation, or come up off this Republican plantation. It's just time.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't wake anybody else up, it's just time.
Yeah. Well, it's how the series that we're talking about throughout this course of this show is, where does it start? Identify where the problem is. Where does it start? And correct the problem. But we don't want to correct the problem because guess what? It supports our pockets. It supports our pockets.
Capitalism has no integrity.
Right. It supports our pockets. It's like I'm just going to bring what the theme of the show is about. Your beliefs create your life.
That's right.
It creates your life. I mean, and
you got Shark Tank. You watch Shark Tank, and they believe those people on Shark Tank. Kevin O'Leary said every night that this country is great for the fact that it gives its business and capitalistic class the with everything that they do behind the scenes, because we know they give this backdoor deals with politicians, but it gives them the leverage to make laws through the means of business. And that in itself, that the American people don't understand, is that the fact that the business class and the 1% they figured it out, while we still up here dividing ourselves because of Charlie Kirk and some of these other podcasters who don't care about our well-being. But we have to live in this life. We have to go to work every day and work around people who you have to think, do they really like me? Right. Do they even respect my humanity? Right. But you got to understand that, these people listen to these people, and it's scary. Yeah. But the fact is that, hey, this is the type of shit that we have to deal with. But the 1% money binds them. Right. It binds them. That green money binds and really ties them together. True. That's why I was joking about the other night when I saw Beyonce at the table with Ivanka Trump. Mm-hmm. I said, you know what? Well, I tell you that one. That's Beyonce has every right to be with Ivanka Trump because they make money, right. And you can't tell rich people what they need to do because they, at the end of the day, they have it in the bag. Right. Is at the end of the day what we're going to do as the working class? Trust me, it's more of us than it is of them. I don't think at one point in time Beyonce brought up about Ivanka's dad was doing. She brought up about how she can get her brand out there even further. Basically. That's what they were there for, trying to get into Nordstrom's now. At the end of the day. So whatever that is, trying to get But let's just say as we bring this to a close tonight, because we're gonna play a clip from Dr. Martin Luther King. Just to bring you kind of full circle, okay? And it is directed at it, quote unquote, at Black people because of the the attention that's needed at that point. But I want everybody to take this as an individual spiritual awakening as you as a person, okay? Mm-hmm. And not the color of your skin, not the alleged person you see in the mirror and all that. Because at the end of the day, when this shell comes off, you're still going to be a vapor, and that vapor is not going to have any color. Okay, so I think as human beings and as labeled as Americans, we need to start thinking of ourselves as a vapor, okay? And then as a vapor that will not have any color or transformation when you come out of here, all right, or when you come out of this particular body. Because if we keep this thing up looking at and thinking that people are what they are based upon what they look like, yes, there's trouble in their soul. I have to agree with that, and that trouble in they're troubled in their soul, not in their heart, but in their soulish mind. This is where they create all of this havoc. And they feel by creating havoc, they can hide. People hide in havoc. People hide in creating shit. They hide in it because they figure I can say it all and I can mysteriously back out, or I can mysteriously stay back. They hide in it, but trust me, it will find you out at some point. Okay, but anyway, so we're gonna leave you with this. We'll be back this segment. I'll leave you with real quick with Dr. Martin Luther King and what he was encouraging to do.
Number one in your life's blueprint should be a deep belief in your own dignity, your own worth, and your own somebodyness. Secondly, you must have the determination to achieve excellence. And so I would urge you to study hard, to burn the midnight oil when you discover what you're going to be in life. Set out to do it as if God Almighty called you at this particular moment in history to do it. Set out to do a good job and do that job so well that the living, the dead, or the unborn couldn't do it any better. Finally, in your life's blueprint must be commitment, the eternal principles of beauty, love, and justice. And so our slogan must not be burn, baby, burn. It must be build, baby, build. Organize, baby, organize. Learn, baby, learn, so that we can earn, baby, earn. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving.
And that right there is what is an example of speaking life instead of speaking chaos and division. What we are seeing right now is not what we just saw in that moment in he was talking to a high school graduation, and that those kids in that moment got what they needed, and they went and did what they had to do. We right now don't have that. And we have a generation right now who is struggling to find out who they are, because there is not enough Martin Luther Kings in this world. We used to have people of integrity. We had Nina Simone, we had James Baldwin, we had Toni Morrison, we had people like Joan Baez, we had people who were really about the world that they lived in. Now we having to deal with people who are all about what? The money. Money, it will kill. Money has no integrity. I'm sorry. You can go and you can do whatever you want. You can invest. You can make yourself a mansion, build yourself a mansion, ride in the nicest car. But until you understand that in this life, you need to understand that we're all in this together. Money will not protect you from what you think it will protect you from. I'm just saying. That right there is what we need. It's the true ingredient to keep this thing called society going. And I hate, and it's so sad that they allowed this man to want to tarnish that man's legacy. Black people. And I'm not even talking about white folk. I'm talking about black folk. Do you know his niece, Martin Luther King's niece, A.D., I think it was A.D. King's his brother's daughter. I'm not even going to mention her name. You can go look her up. She is getting money from Trump to spread her uncle's legacy over the fact that of her support for him. That boggles my spirit that money can do that to people. It can take what was such a great legacy and implement it to evil. And she is wrong for that. She's wrong. Because she know that Martin Luther King was not about what this man is standing for. But she's out there stumping the ground with Trump, praying over his head. Oh, Lord, don't get me started. But that is a punch to the gut for people like me who believe in the true version of who was Martin Luther King. But what that woman's standing for and using her uncle's legacy, that's an abomination. It's an abomination. I'm gonna leave it there. I'm done. I'm off my.
Charles, anything you want to add, real quick?
No. I just want to say that, as I do every week, is that we have to look out for each other. That's right. But you can't as they say, you either stand up or lay down. I ain't laying down for nobody. Right. So we need to stand up as a unit or a group and express how we feel. Too many people are bending the knee and kind of kowtow to other folks with money for they don't want to offend them. Man, stand up for yourself.
I agree.
How did we get that far? How did we get this far as black people doing that? I'm not trying to take over, but what makes you think we're going to get far by capitulating to the lust of money? Money can only get you so far.
But it's a lack. But you said it earlier. Just answer your own question again. It's a lack of leadership. Okay, you don't have leadership. You are falling for anything. You don't. But you really, truly, you should know how to lead your own self. But that's kind of like the message of the show that we've talked about tonight. But if you don't know your own self, how can you ever do it? Because you're always running with every wind that blows your direction. You know. And you run with, oh, this is a good idea. Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, that's a good idea. Or they're talking about this one. Or they're talking about that one. But no centering your point to find out. Hey, it's okay to blow in the wind, but get that information to be stronger as an individual. That's the key operative there. If information comes at you from a different direction, take it in. But that don't mean you jump on board with that information.
But it also answers your question from what you said from the very beginning. This show, for how long?
6 years.
And the fact that we are talking on this message, we're not sowing division. We're speaking what we believe is the truth. Now, you don't have to believe in our truth. You can go do research for your truth.
But you'll come back to find out our truth was the truth.
Because we're not even trying to indoctrinate you into believing what we believe in. We're just speaking our minds.
No, we are trying to indoctrinate.
Well, you know what? No.
The indoctrination that we're trying to do is to indoctrinate you to believe in yourself.
That's what I'm saying. Doing research for yourself to believe, doing research for yourself to find your truth.
Yeah.
Because everybody's truth is different. World, but their truth is different. But at the end of the day, we are letting you know that you can go and do research for yourself to find the truth that you need to keep moving. That is the truth behind the truth.
Absolutely.
So I'm just saying that at the end of the day, the reason why things won't be moving as fast as we're not as fast as Charlie Kirk. We're not even going to even try to put ourselves up there with that fool. But the reason why we're not out there because we are on a different messaging.
Right.
And the message is for y'all to just go and find out the situation for yourself.
Right.
And you could probably come back and tell us that we were wrong or what we right. But at the end of the day, that's a conversation to have.
Right.
And we're not running away like politicians. We're here.
Definitely.
And we're not even asking for your taxpaying money.
Why we not?
Okay.
Wait a minute, why we not? Yeah, we asking your
I
money.
ain't gonna block the blessings
nope.
now.
Can't do that. We're gonna ask for your money. That's my damn sure.
We're gonna ask for the money.
We're gonna ask for the money because we deserve to get paid. But that's a whole nother conversation. All right. Yeah. All right, guys. You know, it has been a great night. We just want to real quick wish Jimmy Kimmel a great night on his show tonight, down his return, and for standing strong in what he believed in, and then realizing, or ABC and Disney realizing that they wrong. You know, and all of these media said, well, we're not getting into that. But I just want to wish him a great return on his show tonight, you know, and standing strong and being honest.
And we're going to thank the teleprompter man this morning, our lady, for letting our president speak from the heart at the UN assembly.
And look like a bumbling fool.
I mean,
you're right, y'all. Look like a bumbling fool. But that's who y'all voted for. Anyway, hey, you guys have a beautiful, prosperous night, prosperous week. We will see you in the realm of prosperity for next week. We hope that we can enlighten your mind, your spirit, and your soul so that you can know your own authenticity and move in it and be the great part of what your creator has created you to be. If you move out of that, you'll change the world, or your part of the world, every day that you get up. All right. Love you much. We're gonna leave you with this caption as we go off tonight. You know, your beliefs create your life. If you take nothing else tonight from this show, you take that. I'm sorry, getting tongue-tied saying that. Your beliefs create your life.
That's right.
All right. Have a powerful one. We'll see you next week.
And don't take the Tylenol.